good morning, boys. Welcome to a new series I'm starting called Hex Court. Dun, dun, dun. So, if you post your tune in a public, accessibly forum on the internet, whether or Facebook, whatever the case may be, I may evaluate it in Hex Court. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I'm not here to roast anybody, all right? All I want to do is provide help and insight. You can see how I look at tunes and the things that I would update and why. It's really made to help everybody, the original poster and as well as onlookers today and tomorrow for future generations. So, first of all, we have this one here. So, a couple things. Now, when you post problem and you need help, do you see this wall of text? Like this is like I need to set aside some time and like decipher spelling, punctuation, sidebar conversations, how many years you were a master mechanic, what you can and can't do, what you may have done, some history with other vehicles. It's like, help me help you, right? What is the vehicle? Is it a swap? What are the mods? What is the problem that you have? Um, a log file and a tune file. Now, here we just get a wall of text. And it sounds to me, if I remember correctly, this feller dropped the car off to a mechanic and said, I want XYZ done, but the mechanic did ABC instead. And then the mechanic put some sort of tune in it, and no surprise, he's having some problems. Next problem, we have two tune files, and no log file, but it's like, it's so confusing when people post multiple tune files and multiple log files, and then you have no idea what log goes with what tune. Like, name your tune and your log files the same. Now you can add a number to them to say, hey, this is 5 logs from this tune. But I gotta know, like, how can I audit something if I can't even make the pinholes line up? So I assume that this is the one that we're dealing with, and so we go into here, and now I've done a compare. I'm not going to do a live update. We'll just talk about the things that I changed and then why. So we have original and then Cringer. Hey, that's me, or Silver Surfer, depending on where you know me from. So Control 5 is the same thing. When you go to compare, you do this comparison log. I love doing this. So we're going to collapse it and, we're going to go through. So essentially, this is a cam swap. It was an L99 engine and a Camaro, so it had BOD and variable valve timing. So no changes here. And I think one of his main complaints was, just typical idle shenanigans, right? Hanging idle, stalling, all that kind of stuff like that. So one of my pet peeves is such an easy thing to do is get these idle tables consistent. So when we look at this base set point, I mean, in gear, we're allowing it to idle at 650, but park neutral, we're going to bring it up to 725. Park neutral, 725, in gear, 650. Those agree. And then, when you're driving, 650. I I found this typically doesn't work well. This will kind of cause some deceleration pops because you're trying to drag the RPMs too low. And so obviously this is what was a stage one BTR. Yeah. So not too rowdy, and you may get away with this, but I raised the idle. So if we look, I said, if you're having problems, at least start a little bit higher. So I just made it 725 across the board. So you can see here, just 725. And then over here, um, did a little bit of a walk down from 1200 to 725, which is what I found works great. This minimum set point was 1350. I set it to 1300. And really, you just want to make sure it's a little bit higher than the highest numbers in here. So we don't want to choke it down. The next is this minimum reference for RPM. So this was still stock at 525. So I just bumped that up to make it in agreement with our 725 RPM commanded idle. Surprisingly, none of these other adaptives have been changed. So typically I say never touch these. I Well, we'll just leave it there. Never touch them. This would be the only real one to touch, right? Just to make it in agreements with your other idle settings. Airflow. So this is another thing. We didn't have a log, so I just kind of had to go off of a little bit of a guess here to help this guy out. So you can see that the lower gears, one, two, and three, I just bumped up a little bit, and that should help it from bobbling and dipping and stalling a little bit. Again, total shot in the dark without a log. So that's all I did there. Most people make the mistake. I'm sure if you've seen my channel in the last few months, they pump these numbers up way too high because they read Big Mike's idle guide and now their car's totally messed up and they need help with idle. Startup airflow is also complaining about hot starts, or maybe it was cold starts, I don't remember. So this is what it was. You can see here in the hot regions we're 11 and 12 grams per second. I bumped that up quite a bit to like 18 and made a little platform here, and seems to work. He's not complaining about starts. Airflow, primary VE was still stock 100. This can work if you tune around it, but I just lowered it to 90. No other changes here. Amazingly, the dynamic air was still set to stock, and the virtual VE also was untouched, as we'll see. So that's not a bad strategy. So yeah, the coefficients here for the VE table, had it been edited, these would show up, but they were not. Well, let's see. Variable cam. Here was the other issue that I noticed. So he didn't state which stage one cam he has. I know BTR has some stage one variable valve items, and maybe let me pause it. Let me pull up the stock tune just a second. Okay, so we're back. So now we're comparing his original tune supplied with a stock tune. And you can see the camshafts is still set to 1, but this mechanic only changed this low angle. So when I was modifying it, I really wasn't sure if this had a variable cam in it or not, or he just didn't know how to set it. And I looked over here at Engine Diag, and you can see the camshaft position actuators. These DTCs have been turned off. So it seemed to me like it was a non-VVT cam, but then why didn't he just do the right thing and change this to 1 or at least zero everything else out in here? I don't know. So I erred on the side of caution and just left this as is. All right, let me swap back over to my tune. All right, moving on. Supercharger, nothing changed in here. So let's go to fuel. Everything is okay here. The only thing they had DSOT enabled, so I just disabled that. Um, Pretty standard practice. Oxygen sensors, I disabled long-term trims. It is a cammed vehicle, and um, yeah, no point in keeping those around. And then this is the long-term fuel trim idle cell thresholds. Maxing these, well, not these aren't maxed out, but at least raising them to an unreachable position helps to prevent decel rich conditions. So I set those up for that fashion. Open loop, nothing changed here. I did get rid of the delay. If we're getting rid of long-term fuel trims, there's no reason to keep the delay. And then as such, um, might as well turn off cat overtemp protection as well. All those things kind of work hand in hand. So that's cat overtemp's been disabled. Nothing else. You see DOD is disabled. That's good. Transients enabled. Flex fuel. I just wanted to make sure that this was disabled and not set to virtual. So all good there. And then we go to Spark. And so I did turn off, because he didn't have cats, I turned off all of the cat type stuff in here as well. And then this idle table, I mean, hmm, my idle's acting weird and surging and stalling out sometimes. You think? So I just put in this guy here. This is from my personal cammed vehicle. And we have a nice plateau of 18 degrees, which is what most cammed LSs like, and then basically um, same thing over here. The spark adder, you can see that this was set up, and I just zeroed all that out. We shouldn't need that once we have proper toast down and normal idle stuff in there. So got rid of that as well. Nothing changed in here. Torque model, nothing changed. Torque management. So there are a few things in here. So max torque, you know, you add a cam, things change with the real torque model. And if it gets too out of alignment with virtual torque, the computer may start pulling timing or other type of shenanigans. So by maxing these out, it ensures that you're not going to get any weird drivability issues, especially with this guy here at idle. So this was set to 150 foot-pound stock, and depending on the scenario, this can be a factor. So I maxed all of these out in here as well. Um, I would suggest leaving this to enable. This is funkily worded by HP tuners. All this is saying is, am I allowed to use the traction control button to turn on and off traction control? If it's set to enable, then that's yes. That gives you, the driver, the power to do that. If you disable this, then you're saying, no, the driver cannot use the traction control button. So don't ever put this to disable. Just max this guy out here. All of these guys also similarly were raised. No need to keep them down. Traction control, we're getting rid of electronic throttle and just set that to disabled. So that puts everything on Spark to handle it, which works a lot better with the cam. Also, you can see that I raised the traction control enable and disable. If we're raising the idle, then guess what? We need to also raise traction control, and then wheel hop can also play uh, strange some strange havoc at times, depending on the vehicle. Engine side, nothing over here. Supercharger, I just disabled these to be safe. I mean, you could probably keep them on. It's not a big deal, but we're going to turn those off. Now, let's see what else. Engine diag, what did I change over here? The misfire tables, these were still stock. As you know, anybody that ever had a camshaft, all of these tables are calibrated against the factory cam, and well, you put an aftermarket cam, they are going to trigger false misfires, and that can cause the computer to go to an overly rich condition. It can also, if you have an automatic, cause the torque converter to unlock. Yes, some people will multiply 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 to gently raise these. You can do that. It's not a terrible idea, but that's really kind of a total shot in the dark as far as calibrating them. So until we know the best way or actually how to calibrate this stuff, which I don't think in the aftermarket we'll ever be able to do, it only makes sense to just max these out. So you can see I put them all to 32,767, and I raised the misfire out of range for the RPM test. Exhaust ETCs over here. There were no sensor twos like postcat, so I just turned all of those off in there as well. Nothing crazy, just if it was sensor two for the O2s, I just disabled it. Transmission, what did I don't remember doing anything over here. What do we do? Is that it for that? Yeah, I decided to give old Bubby a little bit of a better feeling transmission. Instead of using torque ramp, which basically the computer will say, "Hey, I need to cut power. Let me pull power out gently, and then I will apply power gently as well." So we're building a downward ramp and an upward ramp. This obviously takes time, so more time needed to do the shift. So I just set that to immediate, and that just forces the transmission to cut all power, shift, and then restore all power. So basically, no hesitation, no waiting, go a little bit faster. So let's go back to the thread and let's read what we say. Um, okay, let me see. Okay, here we go, I think. Editing this now, went ahead and did a cold start tonight. Wow, what a huge difference. It did not stall or even act like it might. You are a wizard, log file attached. Excited for the first time in months, blah, blah, blah. Um, but let's see if we can find it. So yeah, here's another one. I noticed before sitting at idle, oh, wait a second. Yeah, he was complaining about the car driving itself. Okay, and normally when the car wants to drive itself, it has to do with this minimum final airflow because people dig themselves in a hole because they don't understand minimum means the car can never pull more air than this. They think this is the primary idle tuning aid, and it is not. So, bumping up to 8 grams per second. And I'm not going to open the log and look, but I don't think he logged all the correct PIDs. But from what I could tell in there, it didn't look like he was anywhere close to hitting this 8 grams per second. So I'm like, let me dig in a little bit further. And what do I see? In the log file, he never hits 0% accelerator pedal, right? When you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, this channel should read 0, right? This is not a throttle PID, right? When you take your foot off the gas pedal, the throttle will probably read anywhere from 15 to 20% because it has to stay open to allow air to idle, but the accelerator pedal should go to 0. So, that is strange. And then he begins to say, oh, well, this was some type of salvage car that's been like pieced together and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's like, okay, man, you need to look at that throttle pedal. Maybe, they screwed it in wrong and it's bumping against the dashboard or bolt or screw, or there's a wire that's preventing it from returning to 0. You need to fix that. Um, Instead, what he did was, um, he didn't like this. So he returned it back to all the 650s. And then he said it started working. And I'm like, well, that's strange. So I'm wondering if perhaps there's some sort of weird interpolation going on. Like the car shouldn't be at 18.8% accelerator pedal. It should not be triggering idle, but maybe somehow it is. And this is interpolating. Like if we lower this value and then at 18% throttle, it'll go to some normal type throttle RPM. I don't know. Either way, it's kind of a mess. I think there's more to it going on with this car. And of course, that's the frustrating thing. When you're remote tuning for money or pleasure, you really don't know the quality of the car and the wiring and the build or the history of it. So it's kind of a shot in the dark. Anyway, I hope this walkthrough helps. Hopefully, we can do some more videos of going to Hex Court, and hope you learned something from this. And if you did, see you in the winter circle. Later.